Okay. Um, let's just start. All right, let's start with the champions. Adoni Tzedek. 3 charges verdict, 23 starting health. So I would assume that you would rather play Papa Good in the verdict deck because verdict creates Daybreak and Nightfall, and so you probably want to play Constance, and in the Constant deck you probably want to play Papa Good. Now, who knows? There could be another shell for verdict, and then this champion actually could be decent. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe for constructed. For limited, I think there are better choices. Most probably there are better choices. But I fully expect people to play this champion unlimited. But yeah. Papa Good is already not the best champion unlimited. It can work though. This one can also work, but I think it's even harder to get value from this champion. But maybe for constructed, although I am doubtful. And I just move on. Entity unknown. 4 charges, create a common portal and put it into your hand. Ruby champ. 23 starting health. Common portal for 4. So you create a random common that you can play on your turn 4 if you want to. It creates with cards, it works with cards that care about portals, like we will see later on. But a random common card is pretty bad. Like, it's not really great. It is card advantage, but bad card advantage. And in which kind of deck would you want to play that champion for constructed? In an aggressive shell? I don't think so. More mid-range or even control. Because card advantage. But I have to say maybe again. I think this is better in limited than in constructed. I'm not sure. If I play this in limited, can I only create... No, I can create all set 5 to set 8 cards, right? Ruby commons. It's not just set 8 then. Yeah, it should be all set 5 to set 8. And then there's a big table. It's a card. It's worse than drawing a card, obviously. I need to test this. I don't think this will make constructed, since it's just so random and not reliable. But in limited, I think yeah, I guess. Have to try it out. Frostshaper Gorkrok. So here we have something special. 24 starting health for 10 charges and Sapphire. Create a copy of target troop you control and put it into your hand. That's not the main use, but the main use is when you play Necrotic, gain a charge, and then you can use those charges to activate abilities on your cards. So when you play this champ, you most likely won't get to 10 charges and then do stuff. At this point, you probably are winning the game anyways. But you will use the additional charges you obtain to utilize your cards, like Lixel. And I think this can work. I really think this can work. Maybe Mono Sapphire Necrotics or Sapphire Diamond Necrotics. There aren't that many Necrotics in Pure Sapphire. So you probably want to have another shard with Sapphire. And then you play Lixel. Then you play a Control Shell. Maybe play even Sapphire Blood. Blood has some Necrotics as well. Control Shell with Hero Falls. Maybe other kill spells and counters. It could work. Then play Lixel and then, yeah, keep all their spell shield up. I think this champion is pretty decent. I think this will get used and constructed. Pretty sure about that. People will try at least. I will try. I guess the same is true for limited. You can try him. If you have enough cards that care about charges, if you have only like 2 or 3 cards that care about charges, I don't know. Create a copy of target troop you control and put it in your hand. I guess this can work in limited more often than in constructed, because in constructed you will have more cards that that you can spend your charges on. Target troop you control and put it into your hand. That's okay. It's for 10. I don't know. I'm a little bit more skeptic for limited, but it can work as well there. But I'm sure people will play this in constructed. Lady Avalanche. Let me just quickly check something. Yeah, okay. Alright, Lady Avalanche. 22 starting health, wild, and 4 charges. Target troop you control gets momentum 1. You can play an additional resource this turn. So I'm very excited about this one. Since I think the Diamond Wild momentum deck could be a real thing for constructed. And I think this champion is amazing there, obviously, since you can trigger your momentum troops twice, one turn, and it's the same turn. And you can ramp into 4 to 6, which, I don't know. I have to figure out how I want to build such a deck, what the top end would look like. The question is, how do you ramp and what do you ramp into? So with this champion, you would want to ramp into 6 or more. Or, okay, I guess that's not true. I guess you can activate that and then turn 4, play an additional chart and play something for 5. Yeah, that works as well. Sure. You can play guaranteed something for 5 at turn 4. Yeah, that's good. And the momentum is permanent. It's just momentum 1, but that stacks, so it's not that great, but it's okay. It's more like the additional resource that is important with this champion. 22 is a little bit low. Every health counts. But I think this is, in the momentum deck, it's better than Puck and Balthazar, actually, I think. I will try it. And for limited, if you have the momentum deck, sure. If you have enough momentum cards, why not play this? Although, if you have wild and limited, then Furiko is almost always the best choice, I feel like. Furiko is just such a beast as a champion in limited. But, maybe. I'm excited for this in Constructed, though. Venomer of the Nox. Blood, 5 charges, up to 2 target troops you control get +2 attack, 21 starting health. I'm just not excited about this one. I don't. It would be 4 charges, sure, but 5 charges? Then you're not that aggressive anymore. If you untap turn 5 with 2 troops that can attack, you're probably doing good already. 21 is really low. I don't see it. I just don't see it. Not for Constructed and even not for Limited. I think there are better options. I know it's permanent, but especially in Limited, they will just try to trade as soon as possible. I'm not sure. It's not completely terrible, but I don't think we will see much of this champion. Okay. Alright. Are we recording? Well, kind of. I will upload this on YouTube afterwards. I hope I am recording. Yeah, it should be doable. Okay. Shardless. So, we have a cycle of new shards. For blood, ruby, and so on. And I think those shards are all at least okay, and some are really strong. So, notably, you don't gain a charge, but that's the only difference between a standard resource. You gain 1/1 and you gain the threshold, and then on top you create a card. In this case, Drop of Ecor. And to analyze those cards, we need to look at those drops. Drop of Ecor. Target troop you control gets Deathcry, summon a zombie for 1 basic action. And that's worth it. That's worth it. Like, you create a card that's almost worth the card. I mean, it's Bug Out is comparable from set 7, and that's not an amazing card, but it's playable. This card is worse, obviously, but it comes on top of playing a resource, so it's not like you invest real cards. You still play 24 resources, and you basically get a card for free. And then you have to analyze, is this card for free worth the fact that you don't gain a charge? And
Mind
I
if I
think...
try then?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the number of ways you can trigger death cries now, it's you can get that value much quicker than you would expect with Puck's End and the other deploys that trigger additional death cries.
Yeah. So we have Crota here, everyone. Maybe we will have more people chime in. Just so you know, I'm at the Cornerstone Discord right now, and yeah, I will. It's open for everyone to chime in, and I am planning to do this quite extensively, but that also depends on what my partners are that I can talk to. If I just have talk by myself, it will probably rather be quick. But yeah, I am fine with having like 10 hours plus and doing this over more parts. I'm not doing a 10-hour session right now, though. That's for sure. Yeah. So Crota, you said you think this is good because you have more ways to trigger Deathcry with set 8, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot stronger. When you can double up death cries as well, I know there's a 2-drop 2/1 that has death cries summon a zombie. If you put the drop of Ichor on that and then trigger the death cry, it just becomes that much more powerful, and you have more options where, do I want to deal with this 2/1 that's currently on the board? Or even if I block it, I have 2 more 2/2s coming. You also have Takahiro or other ways to sacrifice. I think Takahiro actually rotates out, but you have other ways to get more things out.
Yeah. So I think the Deathcry deck looks really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very interesting blood card with Dream's End,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably one of the top 3 cards of the set, in my opinion. And yeah, I think we will see a lot of Deathcry decks. I'm not yet sure which version will be the most dominant, since I think there is a undead plant deck there with a new champion. I want to try it at least. And that would also be kind of a Deathcry deck. But you can go many ways with Deathcry. You can still play the Underworld Crusader. And yeah. But I think the drop of Ichor, that's really good. But I will just move on, and then we can maybe compare them and rank them from 1 to 5. The 5 charts that drops. Drop of Chaos is a Sapphire one. Basic action for 1, play the top 3 cards of each opposing champion's deck. And that's, I mean, the question is, will the mill deck be a real thing? If it is a real thing, then this shard will be quite expensive and will be played a lot. That's
well, when I was I've been privileged. I've been able to brew some decks and take a look, and what I found is mill in the current format, based upon the cards you see, is more of a double threat, because as your opponent's card count is getting low, there's also their life count is also getting low. You'll see a lot of cards like the 2-drop 5/5.
Yeah.
You can either mill 10 cards or it can stay in play. So there's that double tension where all of a sudden, do I think my health total is going to drop faster, or do I think my deck total is going to drop faster?
Yeah, that's a really interesting design choice as well. I like that card you spoke of, that 2-drop 5/5. Since you have to choose your poison, and yeah, the opponent is always has a new problem. He has to decide which problem is worse, and then over time he can't compensate both problems, and one will be too much. That's the design idea, I guess, and it's interesting. But yeah, that's definitely a playable shard as well with this card. But again, it all depends on whether or not this deck actually will see much play. If we don't see much mill, then there is no use for this chart. It's very specific. We'll want to play it in a mill deck.
It's also not quite as good as in Immortal, because you already have the champion power that is 2 charges mill 2, and it doesn't cost that 1 resource.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to see a lot of Immortal play. It may see some play in Constructed, and it might be in addition for the Turbo PA deck, where you want to be able to play that additional action, get your Psychic Ascension down.
That's a good point. Turbo PA. You get a action for free, basically. Even though it's not probably not doing much that you want it to do in Turbo PA because Turbo PA is not milling, but yeah.
You can mess around with their fate weave a little bit.
Yeah. So the Immortal Champ is 2 charges, bury 2. So that's basically for 1 charge you bury 1 card. And this is for 1 charge you bury 3 cards. So this is better than the Mill Champ.
If you have the resources to play.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Drop off Ferrofuel. Target you control with Gladiator gets Gladiator 2. So you need to have a troop with Gladiator, and that makes this card sadly not that great, I guess. Again, the question will be, do we have a Gladiator deck now unconstructed that actually is decent? And that's, at this point, only time will tell. But I'm a little bit more skeptic of this card. Drop off Whimsy, the green one. Transform target troop you control into a random troop of the same shards with cost +1. So this, I would say probably a no, because random is random, and I mean maybe the deck with Sapphire Wild Transform actually is okay, but I'm not sure. No, I probably, it's probably a no. This is probably the worst of the drops of the charts.
If your deck isn't consistent enough to getting a lot of transforms, I guess it's an easy way to get it. There are a lot of things like or the new Blood or Wild Sapphire that lets you draw a card if another troop transform. That's permanent. There's also the Witch that says when one of your troops transforms, a random opposing troop transforms into a troop with a -1 cost. So if you need to trigger a lot of transforms, then this is an additional way to do it.
But you would probably play the Transform Champ that transforms into a 4/4 flyer for 4 charges, and then reverts back the other turn.
That's actually 5 now. I thought they changed Puff from 4 charges to 5. So now that charge is going to be harder to get to.
Wait,
so maybe drop a Whimsy.
Is it already live?
I thought they had mentioned it in the for the upcoming champions. What they said the new champions were, and then what champions changed. Like
that can be. Yeah, that would be a shame. That way would make the deck idea a lot worse. Like, cause you need ways to transform, obviously.
Yeah.
But well, I would like a way that the transform and then reverts again. Yeah. So into a squirrel or a butterfly. And this is just transforms and doesn't revert. Into a troop that might actually be a lot worse than your original troop.
Unless you transform and then transform again.
Sure. And then transform into something with revert, yeah. So I will not say definitely not, because I think all of those shards have at least potential, because it's a free card. It's a free card with a resource, and the negative, the downside of not gaining that charge, I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly.
I feel that Diamond is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, I didn't. I skipped over the Diamond one because I think that's actually the best one.
Yeah.
Drop off Vex, Illuminate 1 for 1 basic. That's the best one. Pretty simple.
Yeah, it's equivalent to the Illuminate charge power, except it costs 1.
Yeah.
So how many times are you on turn 1, play a resource, pass? Now you can go play a resource, Illuminate, and you only played 1 resource, and you only played your resource technically.
Yeah, that's definitely I think the best one. The question will be, again, will we see a lot of Illuminate? Will we see that Candlekin deck for Constructed now? And the answer is maybe. Like, it's hard to predict. But we have a lot of cards that, at least theoretically, should boost that archetype. And the chart here, the Drop of Vex, is certainly one of the main aspects to boost this archetype. It's really good. Yeah, so to just rank them from best to worst, I think Drop of Vex is 1. I think actually Drop of Eco is 2. Drop of Kale 3, and then
Whimsy 4, and then Feral Fuel 5, because Gladiator, I don't think it's sticking around. So if there's no Gladiator troops after this set, then it's over.
Yeah, you mean, okay, yeah, that's a good point. Although, do we know that for sure, that there will be no Gladiator card in set 9? I mean, probably. Probably there will be.
Said that Weave was a mechanic that was sticking around, and it's a core common, but I don't know if there's any core common cards that have Gladiator.
Yeah, it's more likely than not that we will not see many Gladiator cards after set 8. And it's always the thing, like, if they remove the troop, which they maybe want to remove anyways, you get no value at all. Yeah, so I think this is the worst one. Because the transform Drop of Whimsy at least triggers your transform cards. Okay. That much for the charts. Yeah, we just went over them basically. So Rift Core, gain a charge 1/1. While this is in your hand, 2, discard this, create an uncommon portal, and put it into your hand. I guess that's actually okay. Like, we have this similar shard for 3, discard, draw a card, right? That actually sees little play in Constructed, or no play. But in a dedicated portal deck, this here could be better. It costs 1 less to do the stuff, to create an uncommon portal. But I don't know, Portal is the mechanic I can least evaluate right now. Like, Portal for me is a big question mark. Like, I don't know. It could actually be a thing. It could actually be strong, but without having played a single bit, I don't know.
Well, it's like you said, there has to be a reason for you to play portal cards, and portal cards do count as transformed cards. So the wild, the hop high hero, and whenever you play a transformed draw a card. So the uncommon portal, or any portal, will actually trigger that. Now, portals in themselves are very dangerous, and I mentioned this with Nico on the Verdicts podcast, in that when you revert a portal card, say it becomes a really good troop, a 6-drop troop, and you need it on the board in limited.
Yeah.
If your opponent reverts it, it turns into the created card, uncommon portal, which immediately leaves play. Also, any runic card you created...
It reverts into a card that does nothing, or what? It reverts into the first version? I don't...
So imagine this. Uncommon portal is like a spiderling egg.
Yeah.
Like an actual egg, right? So if an egg was to be in play, it's like an action in play. It doesn't do anything, and it immediately goes to
Okay.
the void. Similar to how if you have a runic action in play, or if you have a rune in play, that's an action. If you revert it, it immediately goes away.
Okay.
Stay on the board. So same way, a portal card, it's first created and then it transforms into an uncommon card.
Okay.
So it's
I
an
see.
uncommon card, but if you revert it, it goes back to the template to the created card,
Yeah.
which can't stay in play.
So yeah. So revert on a portal card that is on the board actually just kills it straight out.
Yep. And also you lose value on runic cards, on a runic action that's a portal, because it reverts back to its original, and then you try to play nothing.
So you have a runic card that is actually a portal. You play it the first time, okay, and then you draw a shard, and then it reverts, and then nothing happens.
Exactly.
And it goes to the crypt.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Hard to say. I will just move on because I don't know. Chalice of the Victor. 3 drop, 3 cost artifact. When you play a troop, trigger each troop you controls. That's wrong wording, right? When you play a troop, trigger each troop you controls momentum. I don't know about my English grammar, but that sounds wrong. Each troop you control. I don't know.
So when I guess the official wording on momentum is when you play your resource, momentum triggers. Right?
Yeah.
So it would be, say something has momentum 2, you play a troop, everything, all of your troops' momentums trigger, and then that momentum's number goes up. Yeah. I guess it's like triggering some.
So the problem, I'm still confused with the apostrophe S there, but I think the card actually is not that good, because you invest the cards on 3 to do nothing because you won't play a troop with it immediately. On 3 you want to develop the board, so you just get the value from playing troops after that. So you lose tempo, and then you get an additional bonus, of course, but
The real danger
instead of playing this one, I would rather play a troop. That's the way I see it.
Well, the real danger with momentum isn't momentum 1 or 2, it's momentum like 3 and 4.
Yeah.
If you're able to get momentum 3 and 4 off on the same turn,
that's the thing.
That's the thing. So say on turn 2, you dropped the 2-drop 1/1 that has momentum 1.
Yeah.
But it also has a socket, so you can make it a 1/3. On turn 3, course, so that on that next turn it's a 2/4, and then the turn after that, if you have the chalice in play, you can play 2 troops and a resource, and it gets momentum 3, 4, and 5 triggered together.
And then it's almost lethal, yeah.
But, and as you're playing it, all of your other troops are also gaining their momentum up as well. So the first troop you played on turn 4 is now momentum 3, and the second troop you played is momentum 2.
That's a good point, I guess. Like, if you play this on 3 and then you play, let's to make it easier, you play just 1 troop, turn 4, 4, 4 with momentum, then you already trigger that troop's momentum the turn you play it. And that's good. That's good, of course. Is it good enough, though? I doubt it. I mean, for limited, sure. But constructed, I think I rather want to be more. I rather still want to play a troop on 3 instead of this. I understand that it's great that it can trigger multiple times a turn now, but then he just plays a removal and then I lose my value, or basically most of my value at least. It gains value like the later, the more the game goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but for 3, I still want to develop the board first.
Well,
This is too long term.
Just so you know my personality, I always try to figure out a scenario where a card can be useful. I am always like a glass half full type of
No, that's fine.
card.
I think from a design perspective, this card is perfect. It's okay. Not every card needs to be played in constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, most cards will never be played in constructed. But that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Mm.
Just want to have cards that are at least potentially constructed standard playable, like to give the people stuff to brew and to test out. And but even that, it can be good if it's just for limited. Even then, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an interesting card. Like, you can debate whether or not it is actually good enough. It's close, I guess. My verdict is it's not good enough. Yeah, but it's still an interesting card. Let's move on, because this card is much more interesting. Corners of the World. 5-cost artifact unique, 1-shot, deploy. Align this with 2 elements of your choice. So, what does that mean? I have to scroll down. 2 elements. Those are the sigils here. We have sigil of air, darkness, earth, fire, light, and water. And they all do different stuff. So, when you play this for 5, you choose between 2 sigils, and those sigils are basically imprinted on that artifact, on the corners of the world. So you have to keep your corners of the world to get the value. And they all do something at the beginning of your turn. So Sigil of Air says, at the start of your turn, a random cube you control gets +2/+2 and flight this turn. Which is okay. Sigil of Darkness. At the start of your turn, each opposing champion sacrifices a card with cost 3 or less. Also okay. Sigil of Fire. At the start of your turn, summon a place elemental, which is a 3/1 speed that dies end of turn. At the start of turn, Sigil of Light, put a random artifact, constant, or troop with cost 3 or less from your crypt into play. Also good. Sigil of Water, at the start of your turn, draw a card, then discard a card. So this screams control. Like, you want to, at the best would be like you play this on the empty board. If the board is empty and you play this, then you are in a good position. Because you want to make sure that you don't die the next turn if you play something like that. Because this will do nothing until your next turn. Absolutely still nothing. And that's for 5. So that's always risky, so you want to be sure that you get your value when you get to your next turn. And you get to choose between 2 sigils. And so you can always choose between all 6 of them, and then you choose 2. And so I guess when you are control deck, water is good. Draw a card, discard a card. And then you can decide whether or not you need the other ones. Like, if the board is empty and you know your opponent is playing from the top, a place elemental is great, for example, to close out the game pretty quick. If your opponent has enough small troops, then the sacrifice, Sigil of Darkness, is great. Air, you probably won't be doing that often, I would assume. Like, I think this is more like a control card, so you could play it in a mid-range deck as well. Not closing the door on that one completely to play this Corners of the World in a mid-range mid-range deck with many troops. And then you could choose Sigil of Air, but chances are you are a control deck, and then the others are better. So at the start of your turn, troops you control get +1/+1. Sigil of Earth. I think I skipped that one. It's again many options, much potential. And at the start of your turn, put a random artifact, constant or true with cost 3 from or less from your crypt into play, which is also recurring. So you could return one troop and then block with that troop or sacrifice that and return it every turn again. Although it's a random artifact, constant or troop, so that's not that great because it's random. But yeah, that's a really interesting card. And again, very hard to assess how good is it. It's somewhat good. It's limited, it's a bomb, obviously. Limited, it's a clear first pick. For constructed, this is much harder to evaluate. But I think there's a world where we play this and be happy. Like, if it's just draw a card, discard a card each turn, and then something extra. Like they have to sacrifice something. That's good. That's just good. Yeah, I'm excited to play with this card, but I will not play with this card the first week because it will probably be overpriced. Like I would assume, like day 1, day 2, this costs way over 1,000. But I'm not paying way over 1,000. Like this card might end up at 800 something. If it's hard to say. It's a very interesting design, that's for sure. Like you spent so much design work on a single card. Yeah. I move on. Another very interesting card. Dark Desire of Nulzan. 6 cost, 4/4 construct. 2 socketable major sockets. Deploy, create 2 Dark Desire of Nulzan and put them into your deck. Now, Ali wrote in his article that you could, for example, socket Flight Swift Strike and double damage. So you have basically you can block for 8 Swift Strike, or you can attack for 8 Swift Strike in the air. That's good. That's really good. But it costs 6. And 6 is, I don't know. With the 6 cost troop, I want to have something immediate on the board. I want to have that some deploy effect. Or something that I can get value the same turn. And this is just an attacker. Just an attacker / blocker. It doesn't do something extra on top. You could socket the sacrifice gem, I guess. You could socket sacrifice gem and double damage. They have 7/7 double damage. That's good. I'm not convinced though. In the socket deck that we have right now, the different kinds of socket decks, the problem is you run out of gems. You can only socket each gem 4 times. So, what else do we have? We have cost reduction, 5 costs. I don't know. We could socket the -2 on draw and then -1 on general, you would have a 3-cost 4/4, but that's not great. Well, and then the effect deploy, it does have a deploy effect, I should have said. But it's a deploy effect that changes your deck and not the board state. So you make your draws slightly better, but it's not much better than your draw. Like, the problem is with the created Dark Desires, they will have random gems. Random major gems. And I guess it's surely better than drawing a shard, but it actually is not guaranteed better than most other cards you have in your deck, non-shards. I'm skeptical. I think this card is a little bit overhyped. I think it's overhyped. But there is some, since it's the first card with 2 major sockets, for Immortal it's very complicated to figure this one out, how good is it. And there might be some combo for the future with 2 major sockets. So who knows? But for standard right now, I don't think it will have that much of an impact. Like the Dark Heart of Nulzahn is much better, I think, for example. Yeah. If it would cost 5, then it would be great, but at 6? So I would suggest selling fast and not buying early. Like, I think this card will drop under 1000 relatively quickly. I guess we have to wait and see. I think it looks better than it really is. Moving on. Disruptor Drone, 2-cost, 3/1, sacrifices, destroy target constant. Yeah. Oops. That's just a solid card, right? Limited, it destroys runes, which is good. Or the random constant you want to destroy. It's at instant speed. And if there are no constants you want to destroy, it's still 2-cost 3/1, which is okay. So this is actually a good limited card, a really good limited card. Not necessarily first pickable, but I guess I would still be disappointed if this would be my first pick. You want to have something better than that for your first pick, but it's just solid limited pick. And for constructed, I mean, maybe it's a beta against a constant deck. Not that bad. Maybe as a sideboard option. Like the best thing is it's colorless, shardless. So if you have a diamond deck, you can play a Scouring Light to destroy enemy opposing constants. But if you are, let's say, just Ruby deck, let's say you are mono red Ruby, and you are facing the Papa Good constant decks, and you have Travels. This could be a sideboard card for you. Yeah, this card will see play. I think most decks will have better sideboard options than that for constructed. But some decks will play this. Moving on. Duna Dummy. Diner Dummy. Whatever. 1-cost 0/2, Gladiator 1. Deathcry, target Ruby control gets Gladiator 1. So it's a 0/3 and then a 1/2 on your turn. A Deathcry, that's okay. So I think that's okay for limited. Yeah, it's okay for limited. But probably more like a filler card. If you are a dedicated gladiator deck that cares about your troops having a gladiator, then it's more than a filler card. But if you have not much gladiator going on, this is a filler at best, I guess. For constructed, I would assume we have better options than this one. I just have to assume that. Yeah, we do have. And while we have the 2-1, the 0-1 with Gladiator. What is it? Is it 1-1 with Gladiator 1, right? And then you can sacrifice to give a troop Gladiator. Yeah, that's better than this. Electroclaws, 4-cost artifact, deploy, target 2 we control gets +2 attack and crush. Basic, 4 sacrifice, target you control gets +2 attack and crush. I guess that's also borderline playable in limited, right? Certainly nothing for constructed. That much is sure. But how unhappy am I when I have to pick this for my limited deck? I guess I'm pretty unhappy if I have to play this on my limited deck. it's for 4. And then they kill your troop, or they just don't care. And then the next turn you have to pay 4 again. So you're not developing the board, but just buffing your troops. Crush is okay, but no, I think this should not be in your limited deck. I will say that much. But you could end up having to play it, I guess, if something went wrong. Yeah, but this looks way too expensive for the game. Moving on, another legendary card, Eternal Architect. 5 cost, 3/3 flight. At the start of your turn, non-resource cards in your deck get cost -1. So, the theory to really abuse this is to play cards that draw cards. And then basically draw your whole deck on the next turn. Like play Arcane Focus is gone. Play the diamond version of Arcane Focus and play Bounty of the Magus. And then really go off. But you have to survive a turn, and this card has to stick around a turn. And then you have to hope to get your chain going. Like if you're not able to get your chain going, then you are stuck with a 3/3 flight that can't even that isn't even a good blocker. That's the thing here. Like you just want to survive 1 or 2 turns. So instead of 3/3 flight, a 0/6 flight would be much better. But it's not a 0/6 flight, it's a 3/3. So you're not able to block and survive, most likely. And if I think that Eternal Bastion is a card that never saw play, and that's a 4/6 4/5 that reduces your champion power for 2 charges every turn, which is already very good. I guess this effect is better, but then you have a worse body, so you can't be blocking with this one, most likely. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I like the artwork, but limited, this is actually sure. Limited 5 cost 3/3 flight is always playable, but in limited you won't be able to get a chain going like like you would be in a standard deck that is designed for this. So yeah. Although obviously, if I pick this limited, I'm happy. The first pick, really good. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it's not that insane in limited. It's strong, but not insanely strong in limited. And constructed, it could be insanely strong, but I don't think it will actually work out if you try this. Another card I would say looks better than it is. Oh. So my advice, sell. Since it will be overpriced. I'm pretty sure it will be overpriced. Mecha Mat, 5 cost, 4/4, Gladiator 2, Circuit Bill Miner, 2/4. That's a 4/4 attacker and a 2/6 blocker, and you get a gem, a minor gem. Like what? I don't know. Guy got steadfast. I guess that would be the best. So I think this is playable in limited, but it's not amazing, even in limited. Even in limited, it's not amazing. It's okay, it's solid. Not first pickable, but middle in the pack. Or the first quarter of the pack, maybe. Not a terrible third, fourth pick, something like that. Though I still would hope to find something better than this. Constructed, it's a straight out no. Rand Amp 3000. 2 cost artifact deployed. Target troop you control gets +1/+1 and a random boon. Basic 2 sacrifice. Target troop you control gets +1/+1 and a random boon. The same again. So we have Electro Cross, which does the same twice, and we have Rand Amp, which does the same twice. And in this case, it's 1/+1 and a random boon. It's basic even. Just a no. I will just a no. Certainly a no for standard, and I would say no for limited as well. Random boon is just not good. Not worth a card. But I'm sure I will see that card in limited. But I will try to avoid playing it. Repli Popper 4000. 3 cost, 3/2. This gets 2 random boons. When this deals combat damage to an opposing champion, sacrifices and summon 2 Repli Popper 4000. Now this one is very interesting. Boons. You could get flight. Could also get speed. Could get Skyguard. Steadfast. Rage 1. Lethal. Spell Shield. It's 2 random boons, so maybe you get a flight, maybe you get a speed. 2 procs the same turn you play it. Definitely a good, solid, even first pick for limited. For constructed, maybe. This could actually be like the win option in a dedicated control show. Because you can play this and then still have a counter up. Maybe. And then you just need to hit with this once, and then you can probably hit with this again, and then it goes off. Then you win in 2 or 3 turns. That's at least the plan. Yeah, that's not out of the realm of possibility for this to be actually be a meta card. It's interesting enough. Could also be like in a, I mean, 3 cost 3/2. It's not terrible, and then 2 boons. Could even be in mid-range decks. Yeah, this card has potential. It does have potential. Even Mono Ruby aggro? Who knows? Yeah, I like this card. I like it. Robogoyle. 5 cost, 3/3 flight. When this is buried, put this into play. Deploy, put 5 random cards from your crypt into your deck. This is anti-mill. Or self-mill. Self-mill also works. Like we know Dredge from Magic the Gathering. That would be an amazing Dredge card. Although, yeah, I guess, yeah, it would be a good Dredge card. Like they play the Necromoby, or what's the name? The 1/1 flight that comes into play when you mill it. And this is a 3/3 flight. This is definitely a good sideboard option if mill should be good in standard. Then it is definitely a sideboard option. And in limited, you can just play it for being a 5 cost 3/3 flight. That's good enough. Put 5 random cards from your crypt into your deck. That's okay in limited. In limited, this is actually that really changes the odds of you drawing gas over resources. Like at 5, you want to play, you want to draw more gas, most likely, and not another resource. So I think this is a solid. I don't want to say first pick, but maybe first pick. Could be first pick. Although I'm not happy first picking it, but yeah, it's solid enough. Twilight Scout. 3 cost 2/1 flight, Deathcry Verdict. Good enough for limited. Not good enough for constructed. And unlimited. It's middle of the pack. Nothing you want to pick early on. But middle to late in the pack. It's definitely a playable. It's nothing special though. If you can stack up on Verdict, it's much better, of course, in your limited deck. But even in your Verdict standard constructed deck, you want to play other cards than this. Twilight Sentry, 4 cost 5/5. That's good. Deploy, put an artifact or constant you control into your hand. So if you have no other artifact or constant, he bounces himself. So you have to bounce another artifact or constant. You want to bounce constants or artifacts that have a deploy effect, which there are some, like this one. This one's okay. You can bounce runes. That's good. You can bounce your runes and then you can play the card another time, essentially. Yeah. That's maybe, I mean, it depends on your decks, of course. Like, you need to have the enough artifacts and constant to actually make this work. But then it's okay in limited. Then it's okay. I don't think you will play this in constructed though. Just not enough. Everything is bigger in constructed. And the 4 cost 5/5 that doesn't even have speed. It doesn't even have speed. So who cares, right? Then you have a downside that could potentially be an upside, but most likely it will not be an upside. Because it's anti-tempo. If you have to bounce it. Oh. Twilight Watcher, 3 cost 2/3 while you control a constant. This has +1/+1. So it's a 3/4 if you have a constant. which is certainly okay enough for limited. Again, not a high pick whatsoever. More mid to late in the pack. Or even a filler card. Like, I can see this card going very late. It's just a dude. That only is decent when you have a constant. And then it's not like amazing, but just decent. Like the 3-cost 2/2 flight, that is a 3/3 flight. If you have a constant, is much better, for example, than this one. Nothing for constructed, obviously. Let's see. Did I miss something in chat? 12 mil. You probably want 12 mil yourself. So, yeah. The existence of this card will likely make Bury not a thing as a tier 1 constructed option. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. It's not like you automatically lose when your opponent's mills this. Or you automatically win, I should say. It's good though. But mill could also be like an out of nowhere. Like the meta is established, you think the meta is established, and then someone comes with a mill deck and no one has a sideboard for mill. Hard to say. Probably force verdict-based decks when set comes out. I'm not sure verdict is that good in limited as an archetype compared to the other options. I would need to do some drafts. Gets 5 cards from Crypt to your deck, and you get a free evasive attacker they have to now to deal with. Time Walk is too much. Saying Time Walk is too much. But sure, it's good. Hard to say. I move on. Just real quickly. Okay. All right. Blood. Arcing Venom. 2-cost quick action. Up to 3 target troops get lethal this turn. So it's an ambush. Up to, so you don't, 1 target is enough. You don't need 3 troops. That's nice. Those type of cards existed before and they were never good enough for constructed. But for limited, yeah, I think for limited this is quite nice. If you have enough jumpers. Always so hard to say. Like, how many evasive creatures will we see in limited typically? How many ways to create jumpers will we have? But yeah, this card is playable in limited. Not constructed. Is it first pickable? I don't think so. I don't think I personally will ever first pick this card. But it could be okay at spot 4 to 5. Something around that in your pack to pick it up. You can get a 3-for-1, but you never get a 3-for-1 because you invested your troops. And they most likely, well, perhaps will die as well. If they won't die, you don't need the lethal. Like if you block a 4/4 with a 5/5, then you don't need the lethal. You want to block with troops that were generated for free, and that would otherwise just die. So it's more like maybe a 2/1 instead of a 3/1. And I mean, you need enough jumpers. It's decent enough for limited, I guess, but nothing I'm very excited about. Lightbark Burster. 3 cost, 4/2, Death Cry. Each opposing champion loses 3 health. And it's an undead plant zombie. Undead and plant is relevant. I think this is solid mid level in limited. So my ranking would be like, I don't rate from 0 to 10 or something like that. I just say first pick, early pick, mid pick, late pick, filler. That kind of ranking. Since I want to stay more general, more open. And one value is always like if you say 4, and then the other card is 4.5, and then you realize, oh, the 4 is actually better than the 4.5. It's hard to do that kind of ratings, I feel like. Now, so solid middle in the pack for limited. I feel like nothing special. For constructed, it's probably no. But the thing is, there aren't that many undead plants left after rotation. Especially ones with Deathcry. So, it may sound crazy, but I think this might be constructed material. And I would say most likely no, but I have to make this deck brew around and see whether this card actually fits in. It could actually fit in because it is undead plant and has a death cry. And 4/2, 4/3 is yeah. I think this could be constructed playable. But I wouldn't bet anything on it. Blightwater Ferryman. 6 cost, 6/3, deploy and death cry. Put another random troop from a crypt into play under your control. Another undead plant, so that's relevant. 6 cost. A random troop from a crypt. So limited, sure. Limited first pick, not the most amazing bomb, but a bomb. Since it's a 2/1 or 3/1 even, maybe. You will be happy for this if you open this in limited, I feel like. For constructed, I think it's too much. 6 cost is just too much for this kind of effect. Since it's random, and you probably will have many plants, many 1/1s. It's not like you are starved from having good 6 cost troops. Rodpaw Gang is a good 6 cost troop, for example. Also in those kinds of decks. Since you can always bring back the Rodpaw Gang. This is a kind of card I have to compare this with. And this is just a 6/3, but can easily be killed, be blocked, be traded with. So you get another trigger then. I will say no. I will say no. Could be wrong, but I will say no. Bone tight. 1 cost basic. Target opposing troop gets -1/-1 for each troop in opposing crypts. This would work in mill. Yeah, obviously. This is a mill card that is probably okay, even more than okay, in limited, but not, I would say, not good enough for constructed. Not like you don't have decent removal in constructed. You have more than enough. I understand this is just one, but then it's also unreliable. Yeah, but for limited, if this limited archetype of mill is really good, and you have a weak pack, and this one, I could see myself first picking this even. It's removal, but conditional removal, and it's only in a certain archetype. Although, I mean, you could also play it in non-mill decks and then hope to get value mid to late game in limited. Not that terrible. I don't want to first pick it now. But maybe I have to. Maybe there's nothing better. There probably will be something better than this in the pack. It's solid though. Solid limited card. Brink of Madness. 1 cost, quick action. Target a non-resource card in an opposing crypt. Void it and each opposing card with the same name in hands, decks, and crypts. You void it for more cards this way. Summon a Chaos Tongue. So this is actually basically a playable version of the Curse of Oblivion, which was the same, but it was target a card on the chain, and then you void the rest, but the card on the chain is still be played. And it has to be on the chain. So this you can play anytime after that, after they played it. Could be good against combo decks, like it could be very good against it would be very good against Reanimator style decks. Obviously, since you can respond to Reanimate with this. It's okay in mill, I guess. But more like a sideboard card in mill. Yeah, a sideboard card in mill, I feel like. In theory, you could argue you will mill your opponent for 2 to 3 cards with this. But then it's not mill, but thinning. It's not the same as mill because your opponent's script is not getting bigger, which is important. The Chaos Tongue potentially okay. It's like cute. Yeah. Sideboard card. I will say sideboard card in constructed. I don't think we'll see a lot of main deck Brink of Madness. Limited. No. Just no. Just don't fall into the trap of playing this in your limited deck. Just don't. Even if you think you have seen 3 cards of this. I mean, if you have seen 3 cards of the same bomb, then okay. Then yeah, do it. But in general, no. This will most likely not get enough value in limited. Like, most times you don't know if there's another card of the card. Like, chances are there's only one of them. The chance to hit their hand is the only reason you'd main this. Sure. So if you have information about their hand, then it's much better. But I don't think you will main this. Alright. Bristle Barb Hack. 2 cost 1/3. Exhaust, sacrifice another troop you control. Troops you control get +1/+1 permanently. It's a sec outlet. Does have a nice effect if you are like a plant deck and you want to swarm the board. So 1/3 for 2. This is interesting. So let's speak about limited first because it's easier to assess. Again, first, third. Like, if you really want to go for the deck, that's the card you want to have, I guess. Not first pickable. It might come around again. It might actually wheel because people. It's very narrow card. But it's also at instant speed. You can do this at instant speed. Yeah, okay. I changed my mind. It's a third, definitely a third, top third of the pack kind of card. Not first pickable, but yeah, not that far behind that. Because this works at instant speed. You can attack, and then you can attack with everything, even though your troop would die. And then you sacrifice the troop that would die anyways after blockers. And then suddenly you make better trades. They always have to respect that card in every combat step. It makes attackers and blocking so much more complicated for your opponent, and that's a good thing. And it's a sec outlet at instant speed. Not repeatable because it's only one per turn, but yeah, that's okay. Now, constructed. We actually don't have that many good sec outlets anymore because the Shin here, the 2 cost 4/4 is gone, which was the best sec outlet ever, essentially. I guess it could also work with Dreadlings, but no. You don't play this in an aggressive Dreadlings deck. It's more like a mid-range deck with lots of Deathcry and plants. Maybe. I will say maybe. More likely not, but it's not itself a plant or undead. It's a swamp, heck. So it doesn't get buffed by the champion. Let's think. What sec outlets do we have? This set 5 to set 8. Aren't that many good sec outlets, right? Grim Harvester? No, Grim Harvester also rotates. Huh. Maybe. Maybe because you don't have any good sec outlets. Cheap sec outlets. Here. This card is interesting enough that it could end up in a constructed deck. Like the Undead Plant deck is one of the top 3 decks I want to test. And you probably will not play Underworld Crusader in that kind of deck because you are losing a bunch of Underworld troops. So it gets very hard to meet the requirement for Underworld Crusader if you want to play Undead Plants. Yeah. They have more room. I guess the 2 of maybe? I don't know. Someone said it protects your Deathcry cards from being voided, which is also true. Okay, Costly. 2 cost, 2/1, plant, Deathcry, summon a zombie. That seems definitely good and limited. Like, can block twice, they can attack and then have another attacker next turn. That's a solid limited card. Again, not first pickable, or not even, also not second or third pickable, but somewhere after that, I'm happy to pick this card. And for constructed, I mean, Crota said this could be good enough. It's a plant, so that's one thing. And it has death cry, and it has good death cry. I will try it. I will try this. Here we have another sacrifice outlet. B cost, Corpse Mulch, constant. 2. Sacrifice a troop you control. Draw a card, gain 2 health. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's... I don't think you want to pick this early in Limited. More like, if you are already in that archetype, then you pick this up. And you never want to have more than one, so that's another reason not to pick it early. Maybe you want to have more than one to increase your odds to draw it, but I don't think I want to play more than one. Because then when I draw the second one, I don't know. Constructed. So we had this Pact of Death, which was similar, right? Let me look this up. So the card that's now rotated. 1 second. I think it's called Pact of Death. Let me try to assess this card by comparing it with another card. Pact of Pain. Pact of Pain. Pact of Pain is 3 cost constant. So similar in that regard. And then 2 pay 2 health. 2 resources, pay 2 health, and then draw a card. So instead of paying 2 health, you have to sacrifice a troop. And you gain 2 health on top of that then. Pact of Pain saw some play. This is worse than Pact of Pain? I mean, it's a sacrifice outlet? Can't... Nah. I think Pact of Pain is better. I think Pact of Pain is better. You can always trigger your death cries here at instant speed. But you have to pay 2 resources. Now, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. Maybe there's 1 or 2 off as a sacrifice outlet. But at this point, I would rather play the Bristol Barb hack. Bristol Barb hack is also a good card against aggro. So there's that. Everything that blocks is good against aggro. Everything you can play early. Like, if I'm playing against an aggressive deck, mono ruby, I am much more happy about Bristol Barb hack than about this other card here, Corpse Mulch. Even though Corpse Mulch gains me health, but at a high cost. No. I think I know. Limited, like I said, okay. Constructed. I mean, it's close. It's very close. It's very close. Picked off Pain Saw play, but I think this is worse. He couldn't play it for 5, essentially to trigger a Deathcry and draw a card. And then this sticks around. I don't see it. It's so slow. That's it. If you can keep this going, you will win late game, I guess. I don't know. I move on. It's a constructed playable card. It's the worst version of Centers, but it does replace it. Yeah. Does work with Blood Spinosaurus. Yeah, it works with Straddlings. That's a good point. And that I didn't think about Blood Spinosaurus. Yeah. Yeah. Blood Spinosaurus plus Corpse March. Yeah, okay. That's good. That's really good. Like those little things that I forget sometimes, like that we have a champion that creates Birdlings every turn, make a big difference. So I change my mind and will say we will see this card at least being tried in some constructed decks. Yeah. Now, moving on. Cruel Sentence, 2 cost, quick action, draw a card, lose 1 health, verdict. So cycle, lose 1 health, verdict. Is this really worth it? Well, I guess it. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, thinking about it in the verdict deck. Can't be terrible, right? Cycle and a free verdict. Free, and not free because you lose 1 health. I don't think there's much to say, I don't know. Could be seen in constructed decks as well. If this verdict really works out. I would assume you have better options in constructed. I don't know. Limited, yeah, if you really are the verdict deck and you care about it, sure. I'm not sure you care enough about verdict. In general, as an archetype. But I think this card will wheel around because there's not that much demand, I guess. I want to play a proactive card, and that's like a card that cycles and does just a little bit. I want to pick cards that do stuff. Deathless Destiny. 8 cost, basic, action. Put 2 target troops from your crypt into play. While 4 or more troops have died this turn, this has cost -5 in all zones. Well, in all zones it's not that important. So you want to play it a turn 4 troops have died. So again, this works with a sacrifice outlet, but a sacrifice outlet you can trigger more than once a turn, and cheaply. So either Corpse Mulch nor Crystal Bar Pack really works out with that card. Because you want to have a way to sacrifice for free. Does he still need 3 resources to actually play it? Can play this post-combat attack. They're happy because they make good blocks, and then you play this. Interesting card. I think I will first pick this limited, although I'm not sure how good it is. Good enough to first pick it. Although it might be hard to actually get this going in limited. So I can see myself not first picking it as well. I'm not sad if I have to first pick it. More interesting question is this constructed material? I want to say yes. In the right deck, of course. Like a cargo mid-range deck that... I say cargo, although cargo will be gone. But you get what I mean. Yeah. Has potential enough. Decaying Dead. 1 cost, undead zombie. No plants this time. 2 for 1, that's nice, but at the start of your combat phase, if you don't control a troop with or tied for the highest attack, exhaust this. So the thing is, Hex has a pretty high level of 1 cost troops, or 2 cost troops. So you have quite a number of cards that have 2 attack for 1 cost already. And this card doesn't seem very good because of this stipulation. I don't want to pick this. I definitely don't want to play this in Constructed. Oh, who knows, maybe maybe when you play like a Large Ruby aggro deck. No, even then, Ruby has a 3/1 for 1. and a scapegoat. All cards that are much better than this one. So, yeah. This will probably be one of the last picks in Limited and Booster Draft. Just doesn't seem that good. You can't even block. You can't even block once they have a bigger troop. No, I will say no. Demented Whispers. 2 cost. Play the top 3 cards of each opposing champion's deck. Each opposing champion chooses and discards 1 card. Escalation. So next time it's 6 cards that are getting milled, and they have to discard 2 cards. So in Limited, if you are the mill deck, that's amazing and first pickable, and then you try to go for the mill deck. Sure. Constructed now. I guess that's good enough for the mill deck in Constructed. Because I have to discard a card, so you are even on cards, and then you mill on top, basically. Hello?
I'm back. I didn't want to like jump in until you actually said something.
Oh, it's fine. It was just so random that someone coughs. Yeah. So, Demented Whispers, yeah. Are you watching the stream?
Yeah,
So
I
you
have
know?
this.
Yeah.
So
Uh, yeah, I think this
nice new
card.
escalation.
Yeah, go on.
New escalation. It works well. It's really powerful early on for the hand destruction, and then it gets more powerful as a win condition.
Yeah. So 6 and 9. Yeah, that's basically a win condition later on. The second to third, it really hurts. Then you're getting really close to getting milled out. Yeah, I think this is a solid card for that type of deck, for the archetype of mill. Like, what always also is always interesting is to try to guess the price of a card like platinum. It's often quite tricky. Like if you take the um Nameless City, what's the name? Is it Nameless City? Dark Cult of the Nameless City. Like that card isn't worth much at this point, but maybe it will get a boost and yeah. And this card is worse than the Dark Cult of the Nameless City, but I would assume $2, $3 max. But yeah, it's a nice enough card. Nothing overpowered, just solid. Yeah.
If above three plat or 300 plat, it's going to be because it's useful in PVE as well. So
Yeah.
if it finds a place in PVE, then people will use it alongside their Chronic Madness.
Yeah, that's a good point, I guess. There's always more interest in PvE than I think. It's yeah, like for example, I do sell cards. Yeah, I can say that because it's no problem. And if I sell cards, I am always astonished how often people request PvE cards, like for money. So there is still the demand for PvE, and yeah, that can drive prices as well. Moving on, Doomed Guardian, 6 cost, 6/6, plant construct. So 1/2 for the champion. Lethal. Death Cry. What's this? And put each troop with a Death Cry from your crypt into play exhausted. So limited, it's a clear bomb. And constructed, I guess. Yes, I guess I want to play this. I at least want to try this out. Maybe it's a 1-off or 2-off. Certainly not more than 2. Problem is, they're getting into play exhausted, so I might just die after this gets triggered. But if I don't die, then I'm probably happy. And probably win the game.
Yeah, this card I automatically seen a 2-card Doomed Guardian with Ghastly Exchange. You're naturally milling yourself as well.
Yeah.
So you can trigger the Death Cry whenever you need to in order to get those Death Cry troops back. You can do it at the end of your opponent's turn, so they're essentially ready.
That's
Or
a
you
good,
can
yeah.
block.
Very good. Very good, Crota. I didn't think about Ghastly Exchange. Yeah. That's a nice one. That's a very nice one. I like that. Guess we have to find out. But it does have, at least it does have potential to be a meta card. Constructed viable.
Blight Wagon is also interesting. The problem is that it is basic speed, and you're using up a lot of your resources. Normally, Blood likes to leave some resources open for some sort of removal, Strangle, and Hero Fall.
Yeah. Play the top card of your deck. So, yes, I like this card, that's for sure. Especially with Ghastly Exchange. That's a really nice interaction. Milling yourself each turn and then having an instant outlet to sacrifices. Yeah. But I don't think it will be worth more than, let's say, 800. But that's probably too much already. Yeah. Since you don't want to play this in multiples.
Yeah.
Legendaries that are above 1000 or even 2000 are usually legendaries you want to play 4 of in your deck. Yeah. And this you don't want to play more than 2.
Yeah, all of the 4 ofs, legendaries, even Rune Ear is a good example that peaked above 1000.
Yeah. That's a rare. But that's, yeah. The thing is, everyone wants to play, and everyone wants to play 4 of them. Rune Ear. This here is different. Yeah. Now, speaking of cards, you could play 4 of. Dreams End, you certainly could play 4 of. This card is amazing. It's really amazing. Limited, I first pick this and be it just to sell it. But I will play it, of course. It's a removal. Even if I don't have Death Cries, it's a solid first pick in my limited deck. And, yeah, for constructed, crazy value. Triggers every death cry, not just you can choose one troop and trigger that death cry. No, you trigger every death cry of each troop you control. And that's just so. Rule question: if I play this and then it fizzles because my opponent sacrifices the troop that would get targeted or is targeted, the second half still applies, right? I still get to trigger my death cries.
Yes, just like if you play Battle of Destiny and your opponent sacrifices the troop that was supposed to battle, you still get to Fate Weave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this card is amazing. I mean, it's so easy to get really good value out of this. So I think this is actually could end up hero fall value, platinum wise. I mean, guess hero fall is better, but I'm not even sure about that. Hero fall is more versatile in all kinds of blood decks. Here you have to have Deathcry troops, but if you have Deathcry troops, man, the value, the sheer value. Could you play this in mono blood? Oh, but then you don't have many Deathcry troops. So you probably have to play it with wild. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Very good. Right now, top 1. Best card of Dead of Winter for me. Although I might change my mind when I move on. But for now, it's number 1.
So with Simply, to answer Simply Monk's question, you get to give another troop the Death Cry, the Cardinal Demon, but you do not get to summon the Cardinal Demon because all Death Cries available trigger at the end of playing Dreams End.
Okay. Eventide Ender, 4 cost, 5/1, deploy and Death Cry, Verdict. Portal I have hard times assessing, and Verdict is the same. Since Verdict is an RG mechanic, I don't know. Limited for sure. I mean, limited, I played this. The 2 verdicts on top of having a 5-1 for 4 has to be good enough. Not necessarily first pick good enough, but first third of the pack. Like the first 6 picks. I can pick this up like at 3, 4, 5, something like that.
I would assume in pack 2 and pack 3, it will be picked higher than it is in pack 1.
Yeah.
If you're going down that archetype,
Yeah, that makes sense.
will be much more powerful because it should work well with the other types of cards that you are trying to draft.
Yeah, that's always the case for cards that are narrow for one specific archetype. Yeah, those get picked more in the pack 2 and 3. Yeah, I think constructed it. I don't think this is good enough. There has to be better ways to get your verdicts. Just a 5-1? Nah. I would say no.
I personally like the verdict, the Diamond Verdict Butcher. It's a 3-cost destroy target exhausted troop and verdict. That's something that in my testing always caught me off guard because it gains your opponent momentum in addition to removing one of your cards.
What's the card? Diamond?
Diamond card.
3-cost. I'm just trying to look for it.
Is it Sunlit Sentence? No.
No, that's... this one here. Yeah. This one you mean. Overwhelming Guild. Destroy target exhausted troop. Verdict.
Mhm.
That's for sure. I mean, that's removal that has verdict on top. Even if it wouldn't have verdict, it would be playable in limited.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But let's not go that far. But let's move on. The first Exalted card. This is Zubrin, right? No. No, wait. No. Zubrin was before. This is Romichet? Help me out here.
Exalted Kabbalist.
Exalted Kabbalist, yeah. Who is that? It has to be Romichet, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's...
yeah.
Hold on a second, I got a phone call.
Yeah, alright. Take your time. I move on. So, Exalted Kabbalist. 4-cost, 4-2 Deathcry. Put a random non-resource card from your opponent's hand into your hand. Its thresholds become blood. Yeah, it's a solid limited card. That's for sure. But it's probably not good enough in constructed. Pains me to say, I'm sorry, Romichet. I don't think I will play you in my constructed decks. Since the odds are that that I don't get any value because he has no cards, maybe. And then even if he has 2 or 3 cards, it's random. And do you really want that card? For a 4-2 buddy? That's not good enough. Then the Deathcry has to be something even better. So I'm sorry. You have to browse some of my work. XTCG browser, yeah. That makes sense. This is Zubrin 2.0. Zubrin was before. Although I don't know. I'm not going to say he looks like Zubrin. I don't know. Can't really say that. Yeah. A nice artwork though. That's called like lightsaber. I don't know. Maybe he is a Star Wars fan. Do they ask him like, "What's your hobbies? What are your interests?" Like that would be funny if he is actually a Star Wars fan. Then they get him like a lightsaber type kind of sword. And this one is a Kreese. That's the name, like Asian type dagger. Anyways. Herald of Roses. 5 cost 4 life drain. Undead plant. Other undead you control have +1 attack and life drain. So, to preview a card, like I've spoken of it so often now that I should maybe already have shown it. The Baroness Floriana is a 2 cost 2/2 plant fey that says other plants you control have +1/+1 and steadfast. Other undead you control have +1/+1 in lethal. Sadly, it's unique, but I think this might make a deck built around Baroness Floriana. So this one sadly isn't good enough in that kind of deck. The other version for the plants actually is good enough, I think, to preview that as well. Like, where do we have it? Herald of Thorns. That's 4 cost and has Skyguard 3/4. Other plants you control have +1/+2. I think that's actually okay, because yeah, that's okay. But 5 cost 4/4 life drain, sadly not. Small difference, but no. In limited, definitely good. Definitely first pick up, I would say. Yeah. I'm not too unhappy to first pick this and then pick some more undead groups. Yeah. This cut should not go way too deep and pick one up in the first pack. Like, you can play your deck, build your deck around that. Even if you don't have any other undead, it's a 5 cost 4/4 life drain, which is okay. And if you have more undead groups, then it's really, really good. Malevolent Miko. 3 cost, 3/1, flight speed. This can't block. When an opposing troop is buried, if this is in your grip, put this into play. Now, first of all, Migo is from Lovecraft, I think. I'm like 99% sure this is a Lovecraft reference. Limited, sure. It's an evasive group that has the potential to come back. Even if you don't play a mill deck in limited, this is okay. It's, of course, much better in the mill version, but it's okay. First pickable, yeah. Because definitely first pickable. You can't block, but who cares? This is so much tempo and evasion. Now, constructed. So Kurta said that you build your mill deck to be a mix between milling and actually beating them down on their health. And if that's the case and that actually works out well, then this card is great. Will it work out? Maybe. I don't know. I just don't know. But I can see that that card might end up in that kind of deck and actually be a good deck. Nothing too worthy though, like this will never be over 300 platinum, and that's already too much, I think. Nameless Devourer. 2 cost, 5/5 crush. Holy moly. Deploy, and there you have it. Your opponent may bury the top 10 cards of the deck. If they do, this destroys us. So either the mill 10 or the 5/5 for 2. And both options are good. So you could say your opponent has the choice to choose the one that isn't bad for him, but actually both options are worth it. So he has no good option.
Yeah, one of my favorite cards in the set.
Yeah. Yeah, it's design-wise, it's a really great card. Like I always or often think about the design work and try to judge the cards from a design standpoint, and yeah, this card is great.
But you do have to, there are cards later in the set that look at the cost of the troop. Modrum being a good example, you could steal your opponent's troop that costs 3 or less. So you may purposely allow that, and then all of a sudden you steal a 5/5 on the following turn.
That would be a shame. Sapphire, just to show him. There he is. Cards from Modrum. Very good card, by the way. Very good card. Easily to underestimate. But I will speak about it at another point. About the Modrum.
Yeah, I've been digesting this set for so long that I jump around a little bit.
Yeah, that's
most
fine.
most people when they saw that card released, they're like, I'm like, it's charges, and you are gonna have 5 if you play the right champion.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, the card. Okay, no, this is permanent. I want to say that much. Even if the Modron dies afterwards, you will get to keep the troop, and that's amazing. Yeah. But Nameless Devourer, very nice card. Sure, first pickable, but then you have to play more mill cards, because if you don't play any other mill card, then it's not good enough. Like, if this is your only way to mill your opponent's deck, then it's just a mill 10, and that's... So you have to play more mill cards than that one. Yeah. But then it's good. And constructed, like I say, I don't know if this will actually work out, but it could work out, and then it's amazing. This archetype, this kind of deck. Nameless Host. Forecast 3/4, deploy, bury the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. Say it right away. Not good enough for constructed. So you have to have more for your forecast, I think. Limited, although limited in the mill archetype, it's amazing. It's a solid body that on top varies for 4. Yeah. That's if you are that archetype, that's a high pick even. Like, it's not a card I want to first pick and then, because of that, go for that archetype, but a card that, if I already have picked 2 or 3 cards that are in that direction, then I'm happy to pick this as my 4th or 5th card. And then it's great in multiples as well. Yeah. You always have to remember that mill in limited is better than in constructed. Or has the potential to be better because your opponent plays only 40 cards instead of 60. So.
Unless you get a PlayStation player who runs a 60 card deck and you're like, oh, I guess I lose.
Yeah. Then it gets more difficult. Nameless Mists. Basic action, Chaos Touched. each opposing champion loses 5 health, but the top 5 cards of each opposing champion's deck. This is like what you spoke of, that card that does both, that tries to win on 2 fronts, and then eventually one front is where your opponent has to concede. That being said, for constructed, that's just too much cost. The effect for 5 is just not good enough. For limited, I'm not too excited, I have to say, to pick this in my limited deck. If I am the archetype, then sure, but even then I hope to have better cards. It's a very costly card at 5 and basic.
I agree.
Alright. Nameless Peddler. 3 cost 1/3, Rage 2, Death Cry. With the top card of each opposing champion's deck for each point of attack this has. Yeah, nothing for constructed again, sadly. But for limited, it's solid enough. 3/3, 5/3, yeah. I mean, you have to have the first attack at least for this card to be decent. Like, there's always the potential that this card does essentially nothing. That you can't attack with it. Or maybe you have to attack and they... the thing is, okay, if you attack for it and then it dies, it is at least is 3 well. Like, if he has a 4/4, you can at least mill them for 3. So
in limited, for me, you know your opponent's either going to use a card to remove it, be milling for 3 if not higher.
Yeah, it's good. It's okay. I mean, if they can't block this for 2 turns, then they have a real trouble. Like, if this attacks 2 turns, then it's 5, and then it's milling for 5, that really hurts then. Because you still have to get rid of the card. Like, if you have to block the turn after, and then it's 7 already, and then it really hurts. Then you have to chump this, probably, for the rest of the game. Make sure that it doesn't die, but also make sure you don't take 7 damage. So this card can get out of hand, unlimited. But for constructed, it's just not good enough. Constructed always has a higher standard. Necronettle. Forecast Undead Plant. There we have it. 3/3. Another troop you control dies. This gets +1/+1. Basic. Sacrifice 3 other troops you control. Destroy target opposing troop. So you have to select 3 cards at a time. You can't just sacrifice your Blight Blossom, your Blight Bush, and then sacrifice the 2 Blight Blossom. That's not how it works, sadly. I mean, for a limited, sure, you try to make this work. Even if it doesn't work with the 3 troops to sacrifice, it's still a 3/3 that gets bigger eventually, so that's okay. So this is, I think, first pickable in limited. And I mean, I want to try out the plant deck, the undead plant deck, and construct it. And maybe as a one-off. But to be fair, probably no. Since the problem is that I can't just... If it would say, like, sacrifice a troop at a charge counter, then if you at a counter, then remove 3 counters, destroy a troop. If it would be that way, then it would be great. Yeah? But I have to sacrifice 3 troops at the same time. At once. And then it's not good.
I'm wondering what the people who brew decks out there, whether or not they can get it to work with Dreadlings. Like, Skittering Cultivator on turn 1 or turn 2, Get some exhaust in there, Dread Botanist.
Yeah.
You have something, but that's a lot of moving parts for.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Probably not. It's probably a no. But I will probably try it out at least as a one-off. And then probably go back because it's not good enough. It's just so hard to sacrifice 3 troops at a time. And with Dreadling get a generation, okay, if you are at the spot where you create 3 Dreadlings each turn, then you are probably winning either way. I don't know. Night Warden. 6 cost, 7 for Deathcry Verdict. So here we have a simple card that I just need a few seconds on because that's quickly explained. Don't play this in Constructed ever, and try not to play it in Limited ever. That being said, if you have to play it as your 23rd card, okay. But you really don't want to.
Yeah, this card is pretty much a 0-win Evo sealed gauntlet card.
Yeah.
After that, it shouldn't be in your deck.
Yeah, basically. I do love the artwork though. Night Plume. 2 cost, quick action. Target troop gets +3/+1. Trigger that troop's death cries. So, for limited, a very nice card. It's a combo trick plus value on top. I mean, that's amazing. Honestly, that's limited. I think that's a rather high pick. I mean, you want to be that archetype, of course. Like, if you don't have Deathcry troops, then it's just a 3/3/1, which isn't terrible, but also not good. But if you have enough Deathcry troops, then we are speaking. And not a first pick though, not a second or third pick. You first want to have the Deathcry troops and then pick this up. And also, like, you don't want to play more than 2 of that card ever, I feel like. But yeah. Certainly good. Now, for Constructed. It's probably a no again. Although I'm not a hard no on this for Constructed. Because it's really not that bad. It is on Plight Brush. Attack aggressively. Play this turn, play Plight Brush turn 2, play this on Plight Brush. Attack, trade then, or whatever, or just deal 5. Then create 2 1/1s on top. Then play a Lord next turn. I can see that being okay. But it's rather unlikely for Constructed.
I'd say it's a budget constructed card.
Sure.
It's definitely going to see play in the rock tournaments with the number of death cries that are out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So
For rock, auf jeden Fall. For sure. Auf jeden Fall, I said. Auf jeden Fall is German. Just so you're not too confused.
Okay.
Okay. Nyctophobia. 5 cost quick action. Destroy target opposing troop. If you control a constant, each opposing champion loses 3 health. Another card that's quickly explained. It's a solid no for Constructed and solid removal for Limited. It's worse than, let's say, Periphery, which is also 5 cost. But not much worse because it's quick. That's great. And the upside with a constant and lose 3 health, it's something at least. Yeah, this, I mean, such a card depends on what your pack looks like. If you have an unplayable rare, this is not too bad as a first pick, honestly. It's a quick action 5-cost removal. With upside. That's good. That's just good. I don't want to first pick this, but I might have to. I'm not too unhappy about it. And it shouldn't. Such cards should not wheel. Sadly, sometimes those cards do wheel somehow, I feel like. But it should not happen. So pick this up if you see it. Unless, of course, you are not in the archetype and you have something much better, then yeah. Hate drafting is not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Not with 17 cards. It's usually something gets by.
Not with 17 cards and not with the format we have with Gauntlet. There's no reason to hate picker whatsoever.
Simply Monk makes a good point. It's a worse Dark of Night.
Yeah.
That's true, but it's also in the common slot as opposed to uncommon. So
Dark of Night is just an insane card.
yes.
Dark of Night is, I don't know. Dark of Night is better than most rares in limited, honestly. Dark of Night is an insane card. Dark of Night is a card like if I picked two, let's say, two Ruby cards, and then I see a Dark of Night pick 3, then I just play Blood. Then I change and play Dark of Night and forget about my first 2 picks. Because it's just such a good card. Yeah, this is worse, but still okay. It's still good. Plague and Famine. 3 cost, 3/2, lethal speed. Undead Beast unique. When they Plague and Famine deal combat damage to an opposing champion, put a random troop from your crypt with a Deathcry or with Blightbug in its name into your hand. Even if you don't have any troops with Deathcry or Blightbug in your limited deck, it's still a solid card, since it is a 3-cost 3/2 lethal speed. That alone would be playable. Now, it has an additional upside, so if you have like Blightbug and Deathcry troops, really good. But so this is like a clear first pick for me. You try to build your deck around it. And even if you have not money, if you have like 1 or 2 Deathcry or Blightbug cards, even none, like I said, it's good. Default speed, 3/2 for 3, fine. So pick this up if you see it. And in Constructed, this is like so many cards where I say it might make the cut. Yeah, I think it might make the cut.
Yep.
That's just I need to test it. I need to through and like I will probably with my first decks I will play much 2-offs just to get a feeling of the card. And that's a card I need to get the feeling of. It seems like it's good. Yeah. Runic Madness. Each opposing champion discards a card at random. Runic and 3-cost basic. So let's talk about Constructed first, I guess. Don't want to play this ever in my Constructed deck. Although you might think it's good against control, I don't think it is. Since it's discard a random card for 3. No, just no. Runic is nice, okay, but no. Limited, I'm not convinced either. Since those discard cards, especially expensive discard cards. Like now, there's the possibility he has no cards anymore. At turn 3, 4. At turn 3, he has a card. But at turn 4, 5, hard to say. don't want to play this in limited, but I'm sure I will see it in limited. It's playable since it's could be a 2-for-1. Yeah, it's playable, but nothing amazing. All right. Scuttle Crux. Forecast 4/3 Chaos Touched. When a troop you control dies, bring the top 3 cards of each opposing champion's deck. Yeah, that's nice. That's limited. It's a solid body with a solid text. Yeah, it's just nice. Now, limited. I mean, this is a high pick if you want to play the archetype. It's surely a high pick. You could even first pick this. Why not? And then really go for it. The sacrifice outlets. It's pretty easy to mill enough to mill your opponent out in limited.
Yeah. Especially with the champion that what gives a death cry, summon blight blossoms.
Yeah.
You just have troops
Good
for
point,
days.
Yeah. Yeah, then you can mill 9 cards with the 1 troop essentially.
Yeah, and did you already pass the 2-drop 2/1 that summons a zombie?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It obviously combos well with that.
Yeah. Now for constructed, maybe. I mean, if this is like, it could be a combo card. Like if you get something like what? How does this Death Seeker is a card? Yeah, Death Seeker is a card that you can return and then play again, play again, play again, sacrifice something. Like there's this Immortal deck, right? Which with Death Seeker and yeah. There's constant where you get a resource when you sacrifice a troop, and then you.
So it would be Scuttle Crux, Death Seeker, Hideous Conversion.
Yeah, Hideous Conversion. Infinite Mill.
Endless Mill.
Yeah. I think even that deck doesn't need that card. There's better ways. I don't know. Maybe this could be an inclusion in that deck. Since even without Death Seeker, like that's the conversion deck can sacrifice like easily Madame Anana, and there's 1/1 that creates 2 battle hoppers on death. You can easily sacrifice like 10 troops. And then you mill 30 cards, and maybe your opponent has no cards anymore. So I can see that card being played in the Hideous Conversion deck. But I'm not sure.
Oh, the Whisker of Azeroth, the troop that has 9 lives.
Yeah.
So it is an instant bury 27.
Yeah.
If you have a way to sacrifice.
Sacrifice repeatedly. Which is not. That's a Ghastly Exchange. You have to sacrifice a Ghastly Exchange, right? Do we have something where you can sacrifice limitless times without any cost? Let me try to search for that on Hexicity browser. Sacrifice. So we do have the Lackey right now, but that's gone. So let's select set 5 to 8. Rotpaw Gang. Rotpaw Gang can sacrifice limitless times, but that's the 6-drop. That's not the ideal card. Blight Reaper. Oh, you have to pay 1. Gruesome Deed is when you sacrifice a troop. You have to sacrifice a troop as additional cost. It's also not what I want. Oh, Giant Centipede. Yeah. That one. That works. Giant Centipede.
Oh, and the Laskar's Bloodspawn for Rage.
Yeah, that also works, yeah. Laskas. It's Laskas. Don't you have to pay something? Let me see. No, Laskas +1 also works, yeah. I'm looking for those kinds of cards, but +1 is also Ruby. But maybe. Yeah, interesting. Centipede. Centipede might replace the Lackey, the 4/4, as a sacrifice outlet. Then you sacrifice everything into the Lackey, into the Centipede, and then you mill for, or sacrifice the whiskey, or what's the Whiskers? The Whisker of Azathoth 9 times. You're not too convinced about this.
Oh, what's funny is when an opposing resource is buried, you summon a Chaos Tongue. So if you have both in play and you have a way to sacrifice, you are going to literally be able. If you have a free sacrifice, it's game over.
Very
Because you are
good.
going to be
Very
getting Chaos
good.
Tongues.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Now I can see that. Oh. Live deck brewing. That's why I do those. That's why I like to do those extensive deck reviews. That's why I like to have like someone to talk it over with. Like, yeah, that could actually be a thing. Centipede, giant centipede, Guttlecrux, and Whisker. And GG. Yeah, that would work. That would actually work. Like, you don't need that many Chaos Tongues, and you will get enough Chaos Tongues.
Well, yeah, if you don't bury a resource after 27 cards, I mean, that's how many lives, how many cards you're going to bury with the Whisker, then have resources in their deck after that.
Yeah. Damn. That's an instant win on turn 5. I mean, it is 3 pieces. You have to have all 3 pieces. But you can always sacrifice in response.
Mm-hmm.
So if you play Whiskers, they need to kill in response to playing Whiskers.
Mm-hmm.
Like after that's too late. They need to kill the Scuttlecrux, I guess, or the Centipede. Ah, that's interesting. Combo deck. I like that. I like that. So let's say maybe it's a meta card. Who knows? I like that idea. I like it very much. Siphon Strength. Let's move on though. 2 cost, quick action. Target opposing troop gets -2 defense. Target troop you control gets +2 attack. That's a nice card. Second, so yeah. Yeah, limited, it's a first pick card.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I don't know
Much
if
to
it's
say.
going to be as popular as Strangle is in Constructed. Strangle being,
Yeah.
I guess, the litmus test.
Yeah.
But Siphon Strength is definitely going to see play in Limited.
Yeah, limited for sure. Constructed. The problem is, you much rather care for killing a troop in those kinds of decks than buffing your own troop. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would rather play a Strangle over this, I think. Most times. But yeah. But it's a solid idea, it's a solid design, I like it. I think there was a question in chat. 1 second. If you give the Whisker the Carnal Demon Death Cry and then cheap shot it, so you get 9 Carnal Demons. Question mark. If you give Whiskers the Carnal Demon Death Cry and then cheap shot it, I think you do. Simply Monk. Yep, I think that's how it works. You should get all carnal demons. Viscous is an interesting card. Three card combos are fine as long as all the combo pieces are real cards by themselves. I mean, Centipede is not terrible. Scuttlecrux is okay. And Visca is also okay. I'm sure there is one deck with Visca. I'm not sure which deck it is. But I move on. Stalking Query. 5 cost, 3/4, Socketable Major. As this enters play, void each opposing socketed card. This gets +3 attack for each card voided this way. So ideally you give this a way to either speed or flight steadfast for evasion. Speed would be nice. And then you void your opponent's board and then you attack for lethal.
It also stops all of the Crusaders, the Dark Hearts.
It's void, yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those cards where if you weren't sideboarding Gemborn Prowler in your blood deck because you didn't like that one-off scenario, the Stalking Quarry is just that much better.
I basically always played for Prowlers on my sideboard because I really liked the card. I'm not sure if I would say this is better than Brawler, honestly, because Brawler is a 2-cost removal, also voids, and this is a 5-cost card, so you have to have 5 resources. Then, of course, it has a better upside because it voids each opposing socketed card. So yeah, definitely a good sideboard card against those decks, for sure. Essentially game winning. Maybe even too good in that sense.
You probably know this better than I do. Is it possible to interrupt the activated ability of Gemborn Prowler?
To interrupt by an interrupt spell, no, that's not possible. You can't deny that, for example. The question is, can you respond to it? And let me think. Yeah, I think you can respond to it.
You can like rune bind your own guy, but you can't, like, if you have a weave into nothing, your opponent cannot weave into nothing your Gemborn Prowler activated ability.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is basically I win the game if I get to turn 5 and have a 3-for-1 or 4-for-1, more or less. That's maybe even too good from a design perspective. Yeah, but definitely a sideboard card. Limited. Limited is a 5-cost 3/4 with a socketable major, so it's basically playable, even without the extra ability. But if you get an opposing troop voided, great. But even if you don't, you can first pick this. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. Sunset Shade. 2-cost, 1/1 flight. This has +1 attack for each constant you control. Limited, definitely a nice card. Definitely. Even again, not necessarily first or second pick, but very close behind that. And constructed, so do I want to play this in my Papa Good constructed deck right now? I guess the answer is no.
I think it will definitely see play in Rock, but it's
Yeah.
not going to see play in the constructed.
Yeah. Yeah, good mention. Yeah. Rock deck for sure. Umber Guard, 3 cost, 2/3 suckable mana. When you verdict, this deals damage equal to its attack to each opposing champion. This is a card that you can build your limited verdict deck around, because that's a card that has payoff for each verdict. That's nice. So if you want to play that archetype, you can definitely first pick this card. That being said, I don't know if I want to play that archetype in limited. I just have to do a few drafts and then I can say more. Like, I don't know how good verdict is in limited.
Well, if you give this the +2 attack gem, if there's a troop
dies,
goes,
yeah.
when a troop dies, then every time you verdict, you're dealing 4 direct damage.
Good mention again. Quota with the good mentions, yeah. Very good. For constructed, I mean, you could do the same for constructed, I guess. And then maybe that's good enough. I don't know.
And I believe the champion power is 3 charges verdict.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 of these in play, like in limited, it is if you can get a troop into the crypt, 2 in play, it's 8 direct damage.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Okay. And that's the blood gem, right? Yeah, it is. With a +2 attack. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, even first pickable in limited, I guess. And then you really go for it. And constructed, who knows? I would say no, but yeah.
A spirit. So when we get to more verdict cards and things trigger off of spirits, it may be interesting as well.
Yeah.
I believe there is a constant that says when you play a spirit, verdict.
There is, yeah. I can go to it. 1 second. There it was. Blooming Addict. When you play a spirit verdict, spirits you control have +1/+1. Is it a spirit? Yeah, it is a spirit. Ah.
So and since it has +1/+1, you're dealing 5 damage when you verdict.
Yeah. Play 3 immediately. You deal 3 immediately. Like it triggers from the constant the first time you play it. Play it out and triggers. The constant triggers. Yeah. And then this triggers. Very nice again. You find the good interactions here.
Well, actually, I don't think it triggers because it says when you verdict, that's not in play yet. So even if you play the spirit, if it's interrupted, you should still verdict.
So the card says when you play a spirit.
Oh, so...
Wait, when you play it, then it isn't play, right? How does it work?
Play is when you play the card, like kind of like when there's cards that say that prophesize. When you play this, draw a card. Even if it's interrupted, you still drew the card. It was played, even though it didn't resolve.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how this wording works. Forgettable sometimes. So when you play is not when it enters play, is on okay. When I answered my own question. The wording I was looking for would be when it enters play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the difference between deploy versus play.
Yeah.
I think that's why they changed the word. So certain cards will say a constant deploy, right? So it knows when this enters play, something happens.
Yeah. All right. Interesting card though. Good work. Unravel. 3 cost, quick action. Target opposing troop gets -3/-3 this turn. Play the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Very nice limited card again. Removal. Not hard removal, but often, usually good enough removal. You can play it as a combat trick as well, since it's quick. That does even have mill on top. Mill 3 is good. So that's a solid pick in limited. You can first pick this. Why not? I mean, you would probably want to pick something else, something better, but it's not a terrible first pick. Removal is removal is removal. The old saying in TCG circuits.
You might feel a little dirty picking it first in a draft, but yeah.
No, why not? It's okay. It really is okay.
And see, that's the problem. It's just okay when you're going for your first pick. You're just like, you want it to be great.
Yeah. And limited, constructed, probably not. 3 cost is... It does a little bit of removal, a little bit of mill. But for 3 cost, you can also play Hero Fall. Which is, even if you don't get the mill part, just play Hero Fall over this. Every time, essentially. Hero Fall is so absurd. Hero Fall also mills. Right? I just think of this. Hero Fall also is a mill card.
Yeah. It also mills to the void. Yeah. It's not even a mill.
And mill to the crypt is better than mill to the void because of Dark here. Cult of the Nameless City, but on other cards, I guess. But yeah. It's kind of milling.
Yeah.
So this is not constructed relevant. Unwritten End. 5 cost, constant. At the end of your turn, break the top card of each opposing champion's deck for each troop you control. I mean, this can work out in limited. Like, if you have... Often there are board stairs, you have like 4 or 5 troops. And then they have to do something. Then they can't stay back. Then they have to make bad attacks. Otherwise they die in 2 turns. Important with this one, play it second main. Don't play it first main if you don't have to. Because you can play the second main and then pass the turn and then it gets a trigger. Then your opponent can't really respond to it. I guess I can respond in response of you playing the card, but yeah, you get what I mean. I can't kill the constant. That's the thing.
Well, if they have the right stops, right? You can put in a phase stop before after or before the end of the second main phase.
No. The same with Daughter. No. It's the same with Daughter of Poets. Like, if I play Daughter of Poets second main, and my opponent has Strangle or Hero Fall, he can't do anything. I play this, it resolves, then I have priority, I say pass, and then we are at the end of turn step, and then it triggers. Then my opponent can play the Strangle, but then it triggers. It does trigger. Same here. If he wants to kill the constant, there is actually no spot before end of turn if I play the second main.
Good to know.
Yeah. So, especially with, I mean, this is an example, but Daughter of the Poet is a more striking example because that's more relevant. Like, I know some people know this and some people don't. Yeah. Now you know. Wild Squirmhound. And this attacks by the top 2 cards of each opposing champion's deck. This gets +1 attack for each troop buried this way. That's permanent, by the way. 2 cost 1/3. Yeah. I mean, unlimited, that's good. I mean, it most likely will die after 1 or 2 attacks. You can even make a desperate attack, like if they have a 3/3, you have this, you attack and hope to find 2 troops.
Mhm.
If you have to. It does mill for 2 if nothing else. Or you can just jump block. It's a 2 cost 1/3, which is okay, and then it has text, and then it gets good. Like a 2 cost 1/3 in itself is bad, and then it depends on the text of the card. In this card, the text is very good, and then the card is very good.
Mm.
Very good doesn't mean that you want to pick it very early, but middle in the pack. Like, even if you have this, like, 5th pick, you might pick this already because you're not sure this will wheel. This probably will wheel, but might not wheel.
I look at it this way. If you are going for a berry sort of deck, if you go first, this is an absolute great card because you're most likely going to be able to swing with it, bury 2, maybe 4 cards at the most. And then it is a chump blocker to maybe buy yourself a turn or 2 for that end game mill. So and sometimes that's all you extra turn.
Yeah. I like to call those kinds of cards chump attackers. Because you can attack with it and then you get value for attacking. And then they have to kill it. Because if they don't kill it, then you will do the same thing next turn and then it's worse. So yeah, that's a chump attacker. If you understand what I mean.
I totally understand what you mean. And if you have it out, your opponent safely attack into you with it on the board, but they don't want to as well. If they have like a 5/5, but that's their only troop,
yeah,
and you have this as a 1/3 out, they're like, okay, he might chump block with something else. If he does that, I'm gonna end up getting milled. Deck at right now, and
it's a troop you have to block, but you don't want to block because you want to block something else, maybe.
Yeah, or you want to be able to attack. Like, right? Like if you're just damage, oh, I take 1 damage, he takes 5, but I mill 2 cards.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a race you can win, maybe. Sure. But constructed is don't think this is good enough for constructed. I rather play Nameless Devourer than this. There have to be enough cards that are better than this one for constructed. Moving on, Voidstar, the Sightless, 4-cost, legendary, unique. 2/3 lethal. When this attacks, bury cards from the top of each opposing champion's deck until you bury a troop. When an opposing troop is buried, create a random chaos touch and put it into your hand, I guess. Let me think. So, limited, sure. Although they don't, no, it's a random chaos touched. But they are also like Sapphire chaos touched, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would need to be a Blood Sapphire deck, ideally, if you want to play this.
Mm-hmm.
But limited, sure, this is first pick quality. It's not the most amazing bombs of all bombs. Yeah, but it's good. Yeah, it's a bomb. It's a bomb. So yeah, just play it. Construct it now.
Yeah.
So you can never attack and just mill, and then the second text, the second line also applies. So if you don't have to attack, you don't want to attack, the mill, you can still create random chaos touched.
Well,
so ideally you want to play this and then on the same turn mill before your opponent can kill this. If that's somehow possible.
Well, on turn 4, you do have the champion power that says your opponent either draws a card or you mill the
Yeah.
top 4 cards of your deck. So that is
That's
one way to do it. I look at Void Star as a sideboard against Turbo PA, because if you can since you are going to be playing Sapphire Blood,
yeah.
and if Void Star attacks into a Turbo PA deck, it's probably going to mill at least 15 cards because it's not going to hit a troop.
Ah, now I understand. Now I understand. Yeah. Yeah, good point. Until you bury a troop. Sure.
Are the Cyclone Shamans, or like you know, like if it gets 2 attacks in, it will probably hit a lot.
Yep. Librarian does make her unblockable. Yeah, I guess he does. That's good to know. hmm. Turbo PA rotates. Yeah, there could be another turbo, not turbo, but another psychic ascension kind of deck. Who knows? The new Bokrug. Bokrug, yeah. Bokrug has never seen much play at all.
Like I guess the idea, maybe not necessarily Turbo PA, but any deck that is too heavy on actions and not heavy enough on troops. If we for some reason see some sort of very, very heavy Illuminate deck that doesn't have actions, troops, I can't imagine what that would look like yet, but think along those lines.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So I have to say, when I first saw the card spoiled, I wasn't too excited. Like, I actually thought to myself that's not gonna see any play. But maybe with the librarian, like those are the things. Like, I need to really do some research. Like, I do find those things usually, but then I have to really have my game client and have my browser, and then I can browse for the stuff I want, and then I do find the interactions. Like, then I go for HexCG browser and look at all cards that are Blood Sapphire, and then I see the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right now, at first spot, I didn't think about the librarian. But with the librarian? Unblockable?
Yeah.
That's great. That's really great. And the librarian is a good card in itself. The librarian is a bad card. Yeah. I mean, it is unique. So that will probably mean that it will not be that expensive anyways. One way or another.
Well, remember, I did say that I am a glass half full type of guy. I come up with every scenario.
No.
So
that's good.
And that's usually to my downfall, because I can't properly gauge things, because in my mind all scenarios are too equal. I'm like, well, in this scenario I need to do this and this and this. I should have totally do this.
You have to decide between the things that actually are good and the things that theoretically can work but are just not going to work out in reality.
Exactly, and that's why I need to like see hex PvP tools and everything else, like what's actually out there, what am I combating against.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I like the Scuttlecrux idea. I like that one. I mean, that's an amazing idea. Scuttlecrux plus Whisker. I like that.
I might try to make that deck sometime soon and show it off.
I mean, it's it combos this turn, you play the Whisker and then you win. You just need to sacrifice Outlet, and the cards need to live. Like, the Scuttlecrux needs to survive. Like, if they play removal in response of you playing Whiskers, okay, then you are set back. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's cute.
if you have the Scuttlecrux, and I think it's going to be one of those combinations where the first time you see it, by the time you realize you need to interact with it, you're in trouble.
Yeah. If you don't understand what's going on, yeah, sure.
Because it's all like quick speed, right? So,
Yeah.
like, if you try to cheap shot or do something to the whiskers,
I can react.
at that point, I'm gonna react. I'm gonna sack,
And then you're dead.
And you're dead.
Yeah.
Or you're dead the next turn. You're dead when you draw your card.
Ah, that's cute. All right, let's finish this up. White Star's Gaze. 3-cost basic, destroy target non-chaos touch troop. Then, if there are 10 or more cards in opposing crypts, summon a random chaos touch troop with cost 2 or less. Basic speed. So let's talk about limited. Sure, it's removal. It's solid removal even. That actually has a good upside. Will event text with if there are 10 or more cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Summon means it gets into play immediately. So definitely first pickable even, yeah, definitely. For limited. Yeah. For constructed, here it gets more tricky. Like, at 3 you have your Hero Fall. And I will not play this over Hero Fall. Never. Random Chaos Touch with cost 2, I don't know how good that even is. I don't know. It's basic. I think this will not make the cut in constructed just because you have better options.
I agree. I will say this. Even though it's basic speed, it's probably better than most basic speed removal in the set because of Gladiator. A lot of times, any damage-based basic speed is not good because your opponent has Gladiator, and like that 6/1 that turns into a 4/4 on the opponent's turn. Runic Missile can't hit it at basic speed. All of those other spells at basic speed don't do anything. This is just a flat-out destroy. I like it much more in limited as well.
Yeah, I have to try something out real quick. Because somebody, Hodder said that you can set a stop at the end of second main. And he might be right. But I talked to someone about it in game with the dot of the poet that you can't react if you play second main.
I thought you could. I thought I had actually set one once.
Maybe let me try it out. Practice. As soon as the game loads. Okay. 1 second. We have to figure this out before we finish the last card. I can wait a minute. I can set a stop at second main, but that's at the beginning of second main, isn't it? Let me try this out. I guess it's at the end of the second main. Continue to opponent's end phase. Oh, I guess I was wrong. Okay. Glad we figured that out. Yeah, it's okay. You're right, Hodder. Let's finish this up. Zedek's Judgment. 3-cost, basic, verdict, draw a card. 1 shot. Put this randomly into the top half of your deck, it gets cost 0. That's good.
Yeah.
Certainly good for limited.
It's amazing in limited just because the top half of your deck is most likely going to be your next 10 to 15 cards.
Yeah.
Automatically replaces itself since it is draw a card. And verdict early in the game generally is you draw a card, you summon a Daybreak, your opponent discards a card, you summon a Nightfall.
Yeah, I think this is constructed playable, right? If I compare this with another card that's similar, then it was the what's the name? The 2-cost by your verdict.
The 2-cost Runic Verdict?
Yeah.
Or
Not Runic? Wait a minute.
I thought there was a diamond card that was Runic
Cruel
Verdict.
Sentence. 2-cost quick action, draw a card, lose 1 health, verdict. If I compare this, the Cruel Sentence, to ZX Judgment, then the Judgment is much better. Even though it's not quick and it costs 1 more, it's still better. And I said the Cruel Sentence would not be playable and constructed, but this one actually might be. If you have something to get your value out of the verdicts. Like if you have like cards that are getting triggered by a verdict.
Yep. Like the spirit that deals damage whenever
like
you verdict.
One, yeah. Alright. I think I will probably call it for today. And then do the rest tomorrow and Thursday, probably. I will probably do this over at least 2 more parts. Though I'm happy I have over 40 viewers, which I probably won't have the other day. But I'm getting exhausted.
Well, you are doing most of the talking.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm happy you are here. I have 3 hours now. 3 hours, and I have went over champions, Shardless and Blood. Alright.
Do you have a favorite card that we haven't touched? Real fast, we can touch on one of my favorites and.
Yeah, sure. So I guess my favorite card is the one that is randomly, purely random, purely by chance, on screen displayed right now. Leprechaun Artist. I really like that card. Since I really want to play the Momentum Diamond Wild deck.
Diamond Wild, Fate Weave, Momentum should be very good.
Yeah. And the good part about this card is there's a little neat interaction. You play this one turn 2, then play Shard turn 3. You attack with a 2/2. Now, your opponent might have a blocker. You do get the coin though. And then you play, he blocks, or he doesn't block it. And then you play Alluring Animate, which is a quick truth. It says deploy, you may play a resource from your hand. And then you play the coin you just created. And then you trigger Momentum again. I just want to do this at least once.
So your 2/2 becomes a 4/4, and you get an additional resource.
Yeah. And you play the 3/2. And then your opponent is probably getting in trouble.
All right. I think my card to actually be on the lookout for is a Ruby, a Questionator or.
Yeah. Quenchinator. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 3-drop 2/2 Gladiator Major Socket.
Yeah. And that socket probably will be gain charges equal to its attack.
Yeah. And when you combine the Quenchinator with I believe a Nox deck, extremely powerful. Because on turn 4 you can attack with it. You can give it you can play the constant that says it's unblockable unless the troop has the same attack. But the Quenchinator at that point should have 5 attack because you have the Burning Banner in play and the +1 speed.
Yeah.
So it will be able to get its 1 shot off, and then you just go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary. I think this card will see play for sure. Yeah, the Quenchinator. Yeah. strong card there. All right. Thank you, Crota, for being here, first of all. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Ex Engmar says, fair Hierophant, still not a bad card. Yeah, basically. Yeah. I will upload this on YouTube. Probably today, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. And then tomorrow, like, let me just check when I will be there tomorrow. I could do one part no, early hours EU time. But I will not do that, I guess. I will be home again at 8 p.m. German time, which means let's say 8:30, which is 6 hours before, is 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. 2:30 EST. 8:30 EU German time. Anyways.
Well, if I can join you,
yeah, I
will
would be glad. Maybe someone else from Cornerstone. I don't know. I will make the offer again tomorrow. Oh, it's just to have one is great. To bounce back off, talk with. All right. Yeah. Again, thanks for watching. I didn't have my follower alert, so in case anyone followed, thank you very much. I'm not sure how much I will be streaming in the future. I don't know. Right now I'm not playing much standard since it's rotating anyways. Didn't even qualify for the CCS this time. First CCS I didn't qualify for because I didn't want to invest the time. And I played the Bash instead without any success, sadly. Yeah, but I might stream more with Set 8 again. I don't know. Just wait and see. Alright. Until next time, hopefully tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye.
Just wait and see. Alright. Until next time, hopefully tomorrow.